All right. Good evening. This is Team One, and we will be presenting the Sony PlayStation 5, given a good amount of details and talking points going into this as required per the assignment. Next slide, please. All right. So the PlayStation 5 is a home video game console. It was developed by Sony Interactive Entertainment, or SIE. It is the successor to the PlayStation 4, which was announced in 2019. Initial production release took place on November 12th, 2020, and it was initially released in Australia, Japan, New Zealand, North America, and South America, with the worldwide release taking place about a week later. The PS5 is part of the ninth edition of video game consoles. And when Sony initially released this particular model or console, there was two models that were available for consumer purchase. Some of the facts about this particular PlayStation is that this generation basically stuck with the approach that made the PS4 so successful. Their intent was to sell consoles that were available to play first-party games from Sony's story franchise, so those games that were relative to Sony only, and supplement that particular game system with a lineup of their selected third-party titles as well. With the purchase of this particular console, gamers should have expected or have actually accepted or expected to see better graphics in the games, and the note that the PS5 will also support high refresh rates, which in some of the previous models or editions was one of the concerns that the gamers had to wait so long. So it gave the gamer a better, smoother feel. And if you had the right display, it would also support a much higher refresh rate. The PS5's custom solid-state drive was a huge leap forward in loading speeds that could change basically the way the games were played and designed. And from a cost perspective, one of the editions was $499.99, which was the 4K Blu-ray drive. The other one was $100 less at $399.99. And it was considered the digital version, which if you look between the two models there on the screen, there's a notable difference between the two of them. And you can see that the cheaper one is actually a lot thinner than its more expensive counterpart. Cesar, over to you.
All right, and next would be the market overview. So if someone is an avid gamer, that person might have a Sony PlayStation 5 or PS5. SIE again, or the Sony Interactive Entertainment, manufactures the said game console, is considered an oligopoly. So oligopoly is different from a monopoly or pure competition. The big three companies that dominate the gaming industry are the Nintendo, which is also Xbox and PlayStation. In an oligopoly market, there are only a few sellers, and there are barriers to entry, such as having a patent and others. The Sony PlayStation's market is targeted to hardcore gamers whose age ranges from 15-year-old to 30 years old. The company that developed PS5 was originally from Japan in 1994. The location of the branches of the SIE are across the globe in nearly all countries, including the United States. Being a technological product, demand is highest during the launching and gradually declines as newer or better products are introduced to the market. All right, next slide. I'm going to be discussing about supply and demand. So the first question would be factors that could shift demand or supply. So there are different factors that can affect supply and demand. So one of them would be availability of input resources. So when it comes to PS5, there's a shortage of the chip that is needed to manufacture PS5. That's why they're struggling to keep up with the demand. Also, another factor would be fluctuations in product demand. So in case like if there's a new product that comes out of the market, the demand for PS5 would change, especially if the other competitors like Xbox or Nintendo would be able to develop a better or newer product. Also, since the other competitors like Xbox or Nintendo are able to also compete with the PS5, their products could be a factor on the demand of PS5. Market outcomes. So whenever there's a shortage of supply or stock, prices tend to go up. So it's basically supply and demand. So if the prices go up, demand goes down. If the demand goes up, goes down, and the prices go up. As a result, the demand for substitutes also, such as the counterpart of PS5 in Nintendo and Xbox, also increases, unless the SIE company is able to figure out resources to support the manufacturing of PS5 or launch a better product. Situation will remain unstable.
Okay, I'll be doing the pricing strategy. The current pricing strategy for Sony's PlayStation 5 is called price skimming. Price skimming is a pricing strategy that entails pricing a product or service at a high price when it first enters the market, with the intention to skim portions of the market ready to pay the higher price. Then, over time, the price drops to become more accessible to the remaining market. It is customary for big brands like Sony's PlayStation 5 to utilize price skimming, so they're able to distinguish themselves from their competition by presenting their product as the leader with respect to quality, customer satisfaction, and popularity. Another pricing strategy that elevates Sony's product are PS5 exclusive games and early release timelines that are specified for that console. For gamers, certain game titles show overall brand loyalty, and early releases allow those players to enjoy content where others will fall behind. PlayStation 5 only games include Final Fantasy, Ratchet and Clank, and Astro's Playroom 2 to name a few. Is this profit maximizing given the market? Price skimming is an effective profit maximizing strategy given the good quality of the product, the market with a vast number of customers that are willing to pay the high price, and very little competition for the PlayStation 5. This strategy allows Sony to sell its console at a substantially higher price, and once competitors start releasing their competing systems, the price will gradually go down, as it has been the case with the older generations of the PlayStation product line. For example, when the PlayStation 3 console first came out, its price was set at $599 due to having little competition and it being projected to be a huge success because the PlayStation 2 was a huge success as well. The price for the PlayStation 3 was slowly reduced with each passing year until it reached the price of $299 before being discontinued. Advanced pricing decisions. Sony has and still is implementing the appropriate pricing strategies to maximize profits. In addition to utilizing the price skimming strategy, it can be said that Sony also utilizes the third-degree price discrimination and commodity bundling pricing strategies. Third-degree price discrimination is a pricing strategy that offers the same product at a different price to different consumer groups. Consumers with less elastic demand are willing to pay a higher price for a product, therefore enabling the company to maximize profits. Consumers with more elastic demand are in need of paying a more accessible price for the same product. Sony does this by releasing the PlayStation 5 at the highest price, where only one group is able to afford it, and gradually lowers the price so a different group is able to purchase it. To be able to apply the third-degree pricing strategy, a company must possess market power, it must distinguish product demand in at least two different consumer segments, and it must have the ability to prevent its product from being resold by one consumer segment to another. Sony possesses all of these capabilities. Commodity bundling is a pricing strategy that aims at stimulating demand by grouping different products together, and offering them as a single package. Sony utilizes this pricing strategy by bundling its PlayStation 5 console with games or with additional accessories, such as headphones or an extra controller.
All right. So as a team, one other thing that we definitely wanted to go after was some of the potential strategies that we could see that Sony was utilizing while marketing the PlayStation 5. So going into further detail, some of those potential strategies that they were utilizing with this particular console, we acknowledge that the benefit, from the product life cycle pricing and competitive base pricing was something that we wanted to bring into this. So from the product life cycle pricing, as this particular console starts to age and we start to see some of this new technology, let's just say the PlayStation 6 becoming available, as we previously noted, most times this particular system, which is the PS5, you'll notice around a 15 or a 20% decrease in cost as they start to get ready to roll out the next rendition. From a competitive base pricing perspective, this is being directly aligned with the Xbox system, not so much the Nintendo, but the Xbox in particular, and it has been this way for a couple generations. The pricing between these two consoles and companies, as you will notice, is pretty close to identical. And as I mentioned, that's been kind of the role as we've moved around for the different generation of gaming consoles into today. Sony's one thing to note is Sony's current strategy, they kind of made a movement from the console side of the house to move towards about an 80% rate of console games being purchased electronically. So, obviously the platform is moving a lot closer to bringing the games in directly to the house and moving away from the actual, solid copy of the games, which would move that particular household into the cheaper gaming system, but still getting much of the same quality. And looking at the quarterly earnings, about 604K PS5 units were sold this last quarter. This means that the system itself is becoming more available for purchase. Another potential strategy that we recorded would be to try and wrestle the purchase of Activision and Blizzard from Xbox, which is currently in the works. The price range is about 70 billion, and there's a huge stir in the market because of it and those titles that would be included. So the bottom line is this could affect future console purchasing, holding additional game titles moving into the future, which would, of course, sway the market. Cesar, back over to you.
All right, next slide. So as a team, we decided to pick the competitive base pricing strategy. So we picked the competitive base because of its advantages. So some of the advantages for the competitive base pricing is lesser consumer market loss, increased success rate, and greater consumer trust. So over here, I put in price will be in comparison with other competitors. So we're trying to match our prices with the other competitors. So we're not going to be able to lose much of the market, consumer market. Price will be set at a premium because we're branding a quality product. Also, the console price will depend on geographic location. So the price may vary depending on the country of where the console is being sold. Console price will depend on whether it's a regular PS5 or the digital edition. So the regular PS5 is more expensive than the digital edition. Console price will be set $100 to $200 above its competitor price range. Pricing will also depend on the bundle package. So we thought about selling the console with accessories and stuff like that, depending on the consumer needs. So the consumers would have more option on what bundle they would choose from. Price discounts will be offered to loyal or qualified consumers also. And we are gonna give a 14-day trial also for people who's gonna try the games for the PS5 and see if they like it. After the 14 day, they would be actually charged of the amount of the game. Price will be set not as a whole number. So basically, it's a pricing strategy of example, like you're not gonna price a product like a whole number of $400. You're gonna price it at $399.99. Other strategy that would be beneficial for the consumers also is by giving a warranty for the product, a buyback in case you want to sell back the product after a while, and other benefits also will become available.
All
Yeah.
right, that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.